Alrighty guys, here we go into our introductions. First off, going to be spawning as our blue Zerg from Team Acer. We're going to have Nerchio. His opponent spawning over here to the northeast corner of the map, GSL Daybreak, is going to be Forzen. So here we go guys, game number 2 getting underway. Nerchio and of course Forzen tied up 1-1. They are all connected. So we'll wait and see which one of them can actually go ahead and win this matchup. I am in fact using a color mod for people asking as this game gets started. It's a stronger team color mod. In case anybody's curious, actually Dustin Browder said that Blizzard's trying to think about adding something like this into the game, because it's actually really good for colorblind people, etc. Team Liquid has a post on it and stuff, and there's some information about it for anybody who's curious about the color mod that I use while I am commentating right now. So we do see now, build should be getting underway here in just a second. My apologies. So it looks like we are going to get a pull first here out of Nerchio, taking 14 pull. Waiting to see what the play is going to be here out of Forzen. Looks like he is going to actually just go for the hatch first play once again. Now in the last game, I mean, the biggest problem Forzen really had, not in the last game, in the previous game, game 1, where Ling Bailing all-ins weren't really going to be so prolific like they are on Tal'Darim. Forzen's kind of the trouble he got himself into is he was never really finding opportunities to get a few drones out. Anytime he was applying pressure, he wasn't really getting a handful of drones out. Anytime he didn't have to defend, really, he wasn't getting any drones out. And Nerchio was doing just the opposite. Nerchio was defending, he'd kill off an invading force by Forzen, he'd go to put on counter pressure, and immediately behind that he'd build a lot of drones. Forzen wasn't really able to do that. I mean, and eventually it was 40 drones to like 17 drones, and it was just Academic who was going to win at that point, unless Forzen pulled a magic lucky clover out of his butt or something at that point in the game. So I'm going to be really interested to see here how Forzen does macro wise this game versus Nerchio. So we do see Nerchio has taken his expansion using that same build that we actually saw him using against can't remember his name, but the other ZVZ that we just saw right before this. So doing that pull into gas into a faster expansion play again is just leaving that one drone on his gas. See Forzen immediately putting down a spine crawler here. Is leaving in the 3 harvesters onto gas here. Has not gotten his metabolic boost just yet. We'll wait and see if he goes for a any kind of Baneling play or something like that. Nerchio now trying to educate his opponent. I think Nerchio's still a little bit hot and steamy under the collar there from his initial hatred of Tal'Darim. It's been pretty hot and bothered ever since that Tal'Darim match. Spine Crawler will finish up. See Nerchio now just about to finish his expansion hatchery. See Forzen getting up his queens as well. Has started metabolic boost, has left 3 harvesters in gas, can immediately start a Baneling nest behind us. See Nerchio starting a Baneling nest as well over here in his main. So both players going with the Baneling opener, which is so standard. Players sometimes will try and go for those roach transition plays, but you really just can't do it in ZVZ. If you try and go for a roach transition and your opponent goes for a Baneling transition, by the time you can get up roaches, there's already Banelings moving into your mineral lines and blowing up all your drones. That's essentially how it works out if you try and make a fast roach transition. The second your opponent sees the roach warren, they go for the banes, they Baneling bomb your mineral lines, and you die. You pretty much end up always having to go at least Banelings initially here in this matchup. You can try and go fast roaches, but it's a huge risk. You're really risking your opponent not trying to get aggressive with you if you're going to try and not go Banelings. So we do see now Forzen in a pretty good defensive position here. Economically speaking, looking much better for Forzen in this game. Right now at 29 compared to the 35 harvesters of Nerchio. Both players supply block though, so as much as they're blabbing back and forth at each other, they should maybe focus on their macro a little bit. Not get themselves supply blocked. slight criticism to when you let yourself get into a shouting match on ladder. You tend to make mistakes, so it's best to avoid it if you can. So right now we do see Nurchio with the slight lead over Forzen. 40 harvesters for Forzen, 39 for Nurchio. Nurchio with a little bit of a supply lead though, switching into roach production now. Do have the layer tech on the way here for Nurchio. No layer tech on the way just yet for Forzen, just right now working off of regular hatch tech. Do have the +1 missile upgrades on the way here for Forzen. Right now actually been droning up pretty heavily. Now going to be building some roaches and lings up. See Nurchio adding on some gases here. Looks like he wants to transition into taking his third base as he probably moves towards Infestor tech. Third base coming down here for Forzen. Will Nurchio deny it? Oh, looks like he might be able to actually deny it. Linkon a little bit more superior to Forzen's going to go and pick off that drone. Force him to send another drone out there at the bare minimum. Here comes that drone along with a couple of roaches. Needs to be a little careful there. Baneling Splash could actually just insta-kill this hatchery as it first goes down, but nope, not going to actually go for that. A couple of lings just sharking around the map right now for both players. And Banelings taking out at least 3 Zerglings there. Not the most cost-effective trade there, but is definitely by no means terrible. Forzen needs to be a little bit careful here. These couple of roaches could get picked off actually just by a handful of Zerglings from Nurchio if they're not actually bound up together. Here comes a couple of more roaches though to try and help defend. Roaches, much like Marines, much better in massive numbers than just a handful at a time. And right now it's actually really going bad for Forzen as he's losing a lot of roaches. Here comes 5 more roaches to join in, but a lot of roaches getting picked off by Nurchio there. Nurchio getting a lot of damage done. And now we see Nurchio actually still just moving across the map with a lot of Zerglings. He has put down the Roach Horn, at least I thought he put down the Roach Horn, was going for Roach upgrades, I thought. But maybe I'm wrong. Because we do have a Spire underway from Nurchio here. So whatever I thought he was doing apparently is not what he's doing. So it looks like he's going to be trying to go Mutas here pretty soon. Really puts the onus here on Forzen to get this expansion up soon. Needs to recognize what Nurchio is doing and get some defense down against Mutalisk pretty quickly here. He's going to be in a lot of trouble. 11 Mutalisk now on the way here for Nurchio. No upgrades getting started immediately for those Mutas. We see Forzen moving out across the map with a couple of roaches that will buy him a little bit of time to maybe get up some defenses against Nurchio, but it is not going to buy him a lot of time as these roaches move across the map. There we go. Mutas now see these roaches, and now Forzen really has a choice. He can try and suicide these roaches in and just ignore their movements and go for defenses, or he can try and control them and do as much damage as he can. And really the key is right now he needs to be putting down spore crawlers, spine crawlers, anything like that, and you see him actually using those roaches to buy some time. Surprisingly not actually putting down any spore crawlers inside his main. That might end up biting him in the butt. We'll wait and see. Dropping double spore crawlers though at every other base on the map. Do see him now retreating with the rest of his roaches. Now really Forzen not in a terrible position at this point in time. I mean, a lot of times when you are going to go Mutas as a Zerg player, the key is you want to deny that third expansion if you can. You want to get up to Mutas fast enough that you can deny the third expansion. If you can deny the third base expansion, it really puts the player in a bad position. We saw that happen to Forzen in game number 1 as Nurchio was just had him lock, stock, and dead to rights. But he's not even really going to get all that many Overlords. We'll have to wait and see. Might actually be able to pick off this Roach Horn. That'd be a pretty big loss actually for Forzen. It's going to want to think about doing something about that. Maybe send that Spore Crawler forward a little bit to try and defend it. Now just trying to defend it with that Queen, and it does get taken out. Now actually just trying to move in is Nurchio. Nurchio might need to be a little bit more careful. Doesn't want to just give up all these Mutas for nothing. We do see though mass roaches on the way here by Forzen. It looks like Forzen's going to just choose to move out here against Nurchio. Nurchio trying to just attack in through these spine crawlers and all here against Forzen. And Forzen's just moving across the map with a lot of roaches. Now, Mutalisks are mobile, but if you lose a lot of Mutas trying to just end the game with the Mutas and the roaches get into your base, it could end up being not so great. So we're going to have to wait and see if Nurchio can hold this. He's trying to build some roaches over here at the front of his base. No burrow available for Forzen. He's going to have bare minimum deny Nurchio a third if he wants to here. Nurchio trying to get some reinforcements in time to hold this off. 1-0 compared to 0-0 upgrades. It's definitely going to be largely in Forzen's favor, staying just out of range of those spine crawlers too, which is actually working out pretty well for him. You see the Mutalisk still doing a lot of damage over here in the natural of Forzen. The question is, can Forzen push Nurchio into a position where he can actually return the favor in damage? Here he comes attacking the third base now, and immediately just go after the Queen. Now going to try and pick up this couple of roaches. Nurchio's going to probably try and reinforce in there and hold this push if he can. But right now we see Nurchio inside the main, now taking down the infestation pit Forzen, which is one infestor out. Back here, Nurchio looks like he will just barely manage to clean up the army of Forzen, and that is going to put Forzen in a bind. As right now, Nurchio just sitting on top of Forzen's natural, has managed to overcome the defenses there. I'm not really sure what Forzen's plan is going to be. And there's the give up by Forzen, and Nurchio takes game number 2 to go up 2-1.